Welcome to the One for the Road podcast. My name is Mr. K. Alongside me, as always, is C Squared. Tonight's topic: no more late show, no more late night TV. We're going to discuss the recent cancellation of the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Why did it happen? Was it because it was losing money, or Colbert's comments 3 days prior? Could this be the end of the late night show genre on TV? We'll also discuss some other late night shows that C Squared and I enjoyed over the years that had a similar fate as Mr. Colbert, and they got canceled, and probably too soon. The story is go ahead, C Squared.
No, I was going to say go ahead and line up Mr. Colbert, but yeah, there are plenty of them. In some cases, not politically nearly as politically driven. I will give the shout out because we won't talk about it much, but to Craig Ferguson, one of my favorites, and it was not political, but was quite witty. It was always quite witty. So,
quite witty and good.
We miss you, Craig.
Yes, we miss you, Craig. This past Thursday, it was announced that The Late Show had been canceled and would air its final episode in May 2026. CBS stated that this was purely a financial decision, that advertising revenue had dropped 40% since 2018, and that The Late Show recently had been averaging losses of $40 million a year, a far cry from its heyday, especially under Letterman, where it was averaging $100 million profit a year.
Interesting. And ironically enough, if I was going down that conspiracy rabbit hole, I would say, if there was some type of shenanigans going on with media funding through all this USAID and all this kind of stuff that got shut down, that would explain why lots of media personnel suddenly became unaffordable. Their programming became unaffordable because guess what? We were never really paying for it. You, the taxpayer, unwittingly were paying for this junk.
Right. So the conspiracy angle, which you will love, is CBS canceled the show 3 days prior to Colbert's remarks, where he criticized parent company Paramount for giving in to Donald Trump and giving him $16 million to settle the lawsuit he had against 60 Minutes. Colbert characterized this as a big fat bribe, and it's the effort to smooth over the prospective merger with Skydance. That's an $8.4 billion deal. CBS is seeking FCC approval to merge with Skydance.
Well, mergers never have any problem getting through, do they, John? And high-level executives never lose their jobs when that deal goes down.
Good segue.
We'll save that for another podcast.
Good segue. You'll love this and start. And one of the executives involved, Skydance's current CEO, is David Ellison. He is the son of our famous Larry Ellison,
interesting,
the chairman of the board at Oracle. Also, of course, we got to bring up that Larry Ellison, a big Trump backer.
Well, and Oracle, supposedly one of the pioneers of taking a DARPA-based code base for code into the public realm and selling stock and selling public stock. So that is just a rumor, but it's a pretty substantial rumor.
Right.
So interesting, Larry and the boys, the deep state, essentially are willing to send on some money.
Right. So what do you think, C squared? Was it fine? Was it financial or was it Colbert's remark?
I believe all this is financial. I
I
look
do
at
too.
all the massive layoffs at CNN, which is a totally different
Right.
genre. That's straight news. I think Elon, hats off to Elon, basically killed the golden goose that
Yeah.
was propping all this stuff up, and then essentially these networks or multimedia conglomerates were like, we're not going to pay for these guys on our own.
Right. Right. Right.
Well, you actually expected me to pay our stockholders to pay this guy? Get him out of here
Right.
immediately.
Right. And I don't think it's hard to imagine the facts that CBS elicited during the press release, which is ad revenue for these types of shows is down 40%.
Right.
And viewership must be down big time too. This is a dying genre that
Right.
was
Because
big when there were 3 channels on TV.
right. No, exactly. And so you look at that, and I think we discussed off camera people like Jimmy Dore and stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, that is I how many Colbert episodes in the last 10 years have I watched? I'll be honest, zero.
Yeah, I'm at 0.
Zero, man. I have never. One is I haven't turned on the TV, but two, that guy was never funny. I don't know what anybody ever saw in the guy. But number three is I've watched 2 episodes of Jimmy Dore today.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, one, it's on demand, and two, it's way slicker than anything being produced on television. I mean, they're just a dinosaur at this point, and it's not only the platform is a dinosaur, but also the talent is worthless. I don't care
Right.
what Stephen Colbert thinks of me. That guy
Right.
was never funny. He was never. I can't ever think of any time I ever thought about ever turning that guy on.
Right.
And it's like, and I'm pretty open minded. We talked about people that are able to still make it in the dinosaur platform, but also do stuff online. And kind of had maybe a similar fate for saying things. If we flip to the opposite side of the page and go to the maybe Colbert said something to piss off, Larry Ellison's son. They wanted to do something with,
Well, parent
they
company
wanted to buy
Paramount.
some favors from the Trump administration or whatever for their merger or whatever that scenario is. And you go back and you look at which we discussed, Bill Maher, and shows like Politically Incorrect,
Right.
and he got his plug kicked out of the wall because he said a bunch of stuff after apparently, I guess, 9/11,
9/11.
and they didn't and particularly appreciate what Mr. Maher was talking about. So the fact that he had a successful show basically was not the issue. And I would be hard pressed to think that Stephen Colbert had a successful show. I'm betting those
Right.
numbers that they actually quoted were probably somewhat accurate.
Oh yes.
you
Yes.
know,
Yes.
in that aspect. But the bottom line is you also say a bunch of stuff that the powers that be really don't like, and you get the plug kicked out of the wall. Now, thank God, Bill Maher, a great platform, a successful platform, while he's not in particularly funny either. He is much more intelligent and snarky than
Yes.
Colbert ever has
Yes.
demonstrated anything that looks like that. But the other thing is he always stuck to his guns. He always said
Yes.
that if you go back to Politically Incorrect, he had people from both sides, and they were fairly intelligent
Yes.
people. He
Yes.
didn't put these ringers on there that were like meant to be there because they were stupid. And
Right.
the whole point was we're going to have a legitimate debate about this. And as he goes on to the places he is in his career now, which is somewhat successfully still navigating that dinosaur platform.
Right.
One of the very few. It is because people look at him and he's earned some level of trust that this guy is actually fair and balanced, opposed to biased and just like blabbing at the mouth of whatever his thoughts are that don't really have any factual context at all behind what I just said.
Right. Right. So let's talk about the dinosaur platform, television. What do you watch on TV?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing, right?
I have not had a television.
I mean, when have you, like Monday night at 8, are you rushing to the TV to watch a CBS sitcom?
Right, dude. Yeah, my entire existence with media comes off of my laptop, dude.
Right.
My entire existence, my music catalog comes off of my laptop. Things that I watch come off of my laptop. Information that I look up, programming tips, AI bots that essentially help me do things. It's like other than the ex coming over and watching things on the television and me walking by, I haven't pressed the power button on our television in years, probably over 5 years.
Right.
I'm not kidding.
So I watch sports. My wife watches reruns of shows that used to be good.
Yeah, right.
That they don't make these quality shows anymore.
Yeah, that were actually funny.
So she's watching reruns. Now and then I'll peek in on, what is it? Jesus. Law and Order. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a dinosaur platform. And then there's people who are like, well, I turn on TV to watch the news. And I'm like, really? And then I'm like, again, you know what? Joe Rogan's averaging about 9 million views an episode. What's the numbers of that stacked to NBC at 6 o'clock?
Right. Because the bottom line is that I can get the news in digestible chunks from a news feed. I don't have to wait till 6 o'clock to find out what's going on today. If something happened at 1:43 p.m. this afternoon in the city I live in, that should have came through in a feed, and I would have saw it like 20 minutes later, and 20 minutes after it happened. It's almost like the speed of information is by 6 o'clock, that information is irrelevant.
Right.
It's like, so
again, here's the other thing. Bite-sized chunks. When I watched Colbert and Fallon and Kimmel, it's never when they're aired at 11:30 because I've got work. I mean, who is the audience now? Because it used to be young people, but they're not catering to young people. Fallon's doing 80s Styx parodies and has Vanilla Fudge on. Kimmel went through, here are all the greatest artists in the 80s that I freaking loved as a kid, and I'm going to have them like sit next to me because this is a dream come true.
Yeah.
So those shows do not tailor
you did have to bring
to anyone.
Fudge. So I did watch that episode. Of course.
On YouTube, I watched it.
That's right. On YouTube, you're right.
In a bite-sized chunk.
I did watch that because Vanilla Fudge kicked ass. And,
right.
And the One for the Road podcast has to give a shout out to Carmine's brother, Vinny.
Yeah.
Because
greatest drummers.
Vinny, last time Vinny was in Cincinnati, he actually did come and play a show here. So
Nice.
hats off to
Yes.
Vinny Appice and Carmine Appice.
Yes,
And
yes.
even though I'm not a Fallon fan, great work. Probably your best episode ever that you had Vanilla Fudge on.
But again,
Hey.
no, I'm wondering the audience at 11:30 now, because it used to be young people, and those shows do not tailor to young people. So the only audience they were getting, or the only time I was watching it, was these bite-sized chunks on YouTube. And guess what, folks? The ad revenue from that compared to TV is not going to be very good.
Yeah.
And that was the thing they were complaining about, was like, and they were like, well, viewership of those bite-sized chunks is huge. They should be making up the money. Nope, they're not, folks.
Right.
So Fallon and Kimmel and the rest of these guys could be on a ticking time bomb here.
Yeah, because media has changed, and
right,
media has changed. So can I get a and it is real time. So if you look at like Nielsen or any of these numbers that used to put a set-top box on your television set to figure out what you're watching.
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah.
I can tell you what the yield of the 8 million views of this podcast are. How many people actually clicked on my link when I ran a commercial?
Right.
There's your engaged viewer number, right?
Exactly.
Right there. And I'll pay you for that.
Right. But why am I up at 11:30? I can watch this whenever I want, the clip I want on YouTube.
Right.
And I could do it on a phone. I don't even have to have a TV. I got a phone or a tablet or laptop.
Yeah, right. No, exactly. That's exactly right.
So I do not think this genre has much life left. And I think this is a signal to Kimmel and Myers and all these guys who were left standing. And there's not a lot of guys left standing.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So here's another question. An observation is, you were saying before, and I love this was a great insight, there's no talent on TV. Where is the talent?
Right. So you bring that up, and I'm gonna go back to, from a comedy perspective, Craig Ferguson. Right. You would hear people yell things from his live studio audience, and he would respond with something witty. With something sometimes very witty, and the guy's comedy that he brought up, or he would be interviewing a guest, and these expressions that the guy would get on his face or things that he would say to the guest were just incredibly witty. He was a wonderful host. I don't see anybody like that at all.
I've seen them, and I know what platform they're on. Netflix.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Their Netflix is outbidding the traditional dinosaurs and getting all the talent.
Really?
Yes. All the comedians are on Netflix. Back in the day when there was no Netflix, they were on NBC, CBS. The only alternative in the late 70s and early 80s was HBO. Right. But it was still on the same platform, TV.
Yeah.
Now the talent is going to the highest bidder. That bidder is Netflix, Prime, Disney, Hulu.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you got a huge point, John. You got a huge point. Yeah, subscription services.
So that's what's happening. I mean, John Mulaney was going to do a talk show. Went to Netflix. They were the highest bidder.
Yeah. Right. No, I mean, I'm with you on that.
So all the great comedians are on Netflix, and even some of the good ones, are on Prime or name a streaming service. That's where the talent is.
Right.
The talent is on the platform.
Right, yeah. Because so if I'm not, everything can't be political 24/7. So if I actually want a real comedian to deliver a witty monologue and say witty and have witty banter with the guests, I need to hire a real one. I mean, I look at that. Another one, Kimmel, never funny, never
Right.
funny.
Right.
I can't even think of that guy was funny, man.
The co-host of the Man Show,
because I didn't really know him. I don't think I've watched.
Well, he was on Saturday Night Live.
I have watched some Kimmel stuff, and I was like, this guy was never funny. What was up? Huh?
Yeah. Well, Fallon was a stand-up comedian, was on years on Saturday Night Live, and has comedic chops, but I don't think he's a good interviewer. I think Letterman was a phenomenal interviewer. Or Carson, I mean, was a great interviewer.
Yeah.
Fallon's a horrible interviewer. He's a good comedic entertainer.
Yeah.
He does great impressions.
Yeah.
Which helps.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, I just think it's a dying genre. Back in the day, I mean, so why did you think to yourself, how did this genre, late night TV, become popular? And why? Well, 70s. There's 3 stations, folks.
You got it. Yeah.
There's no cable.
Yep.
Then cable comes along, and even HBO was like, I can't compete against Carson. And I can't even compete against Letterman. The other thing, too, was Letterman's show in particular appealed to young people. Because when I was growing up in college, we didn't watch a lot of TV either. We watched Letterman every night because he's on at 12:30, and we've been studying like crazy.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Just.
Do you think people are running to Seth Meyers at 12:30 and cranking up a TV when they can get Rogan, Jimmy Dore whenever they want?
Right. Yeah. No, exactly, dude. And you look at it now, and those people are smart. Look at all these people that went down that space. Tucker Carlson, even though it's not late night. Steve Bannon, all those type of people like that have gone down that space. That essentially have said, I don't need television. I just don't need it. I'll do something myself and be successful in that space.
Right. And you stated it before, those CBS, ABC are under FCC rules. So, they can't be doing F-bombs in their monologue like crazy, but on Netflix.
Right.
We're on Netflix.
Exactly right. Yeah.
There's your freedom, your power, and even YouTube to some degree. I mean,
right. No, exactly. I agree.
It'd be a wash, but your production costs are way down.
At a certain point, AI will just edit that out. And if you're willing to accept the edit from the beginning of the F-bomb you accidentally just dropped, you'll upload it without editing it.
Right.
Much like we do.
Yeah.
So that's a riot, man. So I am not shocked, and I think that to kind of wind that up, John, I think that a lot of people, I don't think that Colbert is the first. He might be one of the first in that genre to have this, to start to feel the effects of this. But I think CNN unloaded like tons of people.
Right.
Obviously a different platform, but tons of people, basically freaking 6 months ago, 8 months ago or whatever, and just said, we're not gonna pay these people anymore. We can't pay these people anymore. And, it's like, that's the end.
Yeah. I mean, my dad told me this. Every person you see on CNN is probably a millionaire.
Right.
Any person talking on CNN who has the camera on them is
Yep.
probably a millionaire.
Yep.
How
Right.
many millionaires do you want in
You
that
got it.
studio?
Right. No, exactly, dude. That's exactly right. And
And
I
how
look
many
at
do you
that, even
need?
though he left, that, uh, totally flip that scenario. Uh, because I don't believe Tucker Carlson got fired. I believe that it was that he left hand. But I think he said that his previous contract was probably a multi-year contract, was worth like $24 million. That's quite a
Right.
chunk of change, dude, to friggin' show up. And I love Tucker. I think he's a great guy. And the bottom line, I think he's wildly successful, and that's awesome. But you know what, dude? That's a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
if that,
Yeah.
even if that's a 5-year contract, dude, that's a lot of money.
Right. Right. So that brings up a good point in that why Maher and Tucker were canceled and why Maher's Politically Incorrect originally in ABC was canceled and why Tucker got canceled is they went up against they made some controversial remarks. Tucker went after the pharmaceuticals, and the pharmaceuticals were huge
Right.
advertisers
Yeah,
of
yeah,
his
yeah. Off the
show.
box, right.
Maher went up against, just made some horrible remarks about 9/11, which I'm not going to repeat. You can
Yeah,
read about it on Wikipedia.
yeah.
That
Oh,
offended
I'll look them
everybody.
up because I'll repeat them. I have no shame, John.
So the bottom line is they both lost advertisers, and that was the beginning. When you start losing advertisers, you start losing money. Your show is not profitable. Why should I air a show that isn't profitable, that's controversial, that is defying advertisers when I've got 99 others that the advertisers don't have a problem with, and they don't make controversial remarks against my companies or anything else, or make statements that I personally as an advertiser find offensive, and I can choose where I spend my money. The flip side of that is now YouTube and the streaming platforms, and the tables have turned quite a bit, which is these guys go on with no advertisers, become popular, and then advertisers come to them.
Yeah.
It isn't the other way around where
Right.
they are the servants of when Tucker first got on CNN, he became a servant of the advertisers.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And it's flipped.
Right. Exactly. And I will tell you this. I see, and I can't think of some of the names right now, but I see some of the newer people getting into podcasting who are good. They are getting higher dollar sponsors, like selling higher
Yes.
dollar products
Yes.
because they can. They're not. They are not confined by the
Right.
same
Beholden.
model that the television platform is confined by, man. Where you need to sell, what I need to do is convince people to buy. I need to convince 100 million people to go ask their doctor for a script of this. Yeah, stuff that
Right.
makes them feel better or whatever it is, man. Opposed to, you know, I'm gonna try and sell a $20,000 product, and if I only get 100 people out of the 8 million people that watch this podcast, that's okay too, and
Right.
because guess what? So that model never, I don't think ever really worked on television, and it always had to be this mass advertising campaign. You had to get them. You had to be reaching the masses to make that work. Opposed to, I can do a much more personalized um, uh, advertising campaign for maybe a more unique, higher dollar product. And
Right. Right. Right.
so that from a media perspective, things have changed quite a
Oh,
bit.
yes.
I think.
Yes. Yes. I always think it had to do with who was in the position of power. So the execs at CBS dictate the advertisers they want to do business with. When you go to the podcast world, I mean, Craig Ferguson now has a popular podcast. And it's funny, all of these late night guys, Craig Ferguson and Conan, have popular podcasts now. And the script is totally flipped, where they're really popular and the advertisers are coming to them and they can choose. It's like, I want you to advertise for, I don't know. I want you to advertise for this toy. They can say, no, I don't like that toy.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
That never happened in the other world they were in, TV, where it was like, it was the opposite. You better push this toy because the guy way up in the tower said so.
Right. Yeah. No, exactly. I agree with you, John. It's, to sum that thought up, and I think I said this once before, for all these people to be speculating that there is this huge conspiracy over the Colbert scenario, and nobody, and Mr. K will attest to this. Nobody appreciates a good conspiracy like me.
That's for sure.
But the bottom line is that in this instance, golly, Ned, you are swimming upstream, because there is a ton of facts that say that the industry itself is hating it, man.
Right.
And you're just like the first piece of dead wood that we threw out of the boat that's going backwards downstream backwards, man.
Yeah, I just totally think this was a money issue. It is not beyond the realm of possibilities or inconceivable that they were losing money. They were losing advertisers. I don't know. Dude, I don't know anybody who's watching these shows live.
Right. Yeah. That's a whole.
The ratings had to have been horrible. I can't think. Who is watching Fallon? Who's watching Kimmel live at 11:30?
Right. Yeah. Right.
It's just an outdated dinosaur of a medium too. So. C Squared, that's all I got. Let me run down some business here. You can reach us via email at onefortheroadpodcast@gmail.com. That is the number 1, the number 4. Our website is up and functional. Yay! And actually has some content. Stay tuned. We're going to post our episodes and all sorts of great content. That is onefortheroad.net.
Our technical wizard, Mr. K.
No, hats off. Let's plug somebody. And then now that we're on the new platform, the real platform, Namecheap is our hosting provider. They were quite helpful in getting the certificate issues we were having fixed. They came through big time. So shout out to Namecheap.com. Highly recommend them for your hosting opportunities on the internet. You could subscribe and like us on YouTube. We are on 3 audio platforms, those being RSS.com, Spotify, and Podbean. For C Squared, this is Mr. K. Have a great week.
Thanks for tuning in, folks. Have a great week.